Hi.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. It's Erin Strayer, and we are on live at 7 o'clock tonight. And I'm super glad that you guys are here with us. We are talking tonight. We're going to attempt round two with the amazing Heather Englehart here with us today. We're so glad that if you are here with us, make sure you say hello. We are talking again tonight about the leadership environment, what that means if you're struggling with it, how we're going to attack that with little tips and tricks and small things that you can apply right now into your immediate who you are and how you show up that will absolutely affect trickle-wise around you. So we're going to talk about lack of teamwork. We're going to talk about expectations. We're going to talk about poor attitudes. We're going to talk about slackers and the people that don't show up. So hello, everybody. My name is Erin Strayer. Pardon my lack of voice. I was all in on a conference this weekend, and it left me Saturday. So we're going to keep on struggling with that today. This is the Perspective Shifters, and this platform is all about elevating female entrepreneurs to level up themselves, put their awesomeness out there in front of other people. And for you as listeners to apply what we bring to you, this free training is just for you. And we're super glad you're here. If you are here, tell us hi. Let us know that you're here. Comment in the comments. Let us know you're here. We'll give you a little shout out and say hello to you. And if this by all means is valuable, make sure you share it with your team, with your C-suite, with the people that you surround yourself with. If this is of value, we would love for you to be able to share this video and go forward. So hello, Heather Englehart. How are you, honey?
Hi, Erin Strayer. Thank you for that lovely welcome. And we're going to try this again, aren't we? We're going to try this again.
We are going to try this again. Yeah, this is take two, everybody. We attempted this 2 weeks ago maybe, and we had some glitchy little things happen and on the platform side of things. And so by restructuring and rescheduling and finding another opportunity that fit both of our schedules, we're back bringing you this information tonight. So thanks for readjusting for me, Heather. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Heather for just a little bit because this lady is amazing. She is her background is extensive, and her ability to deal with and change and alter and come at really, really difficult situations from another angle is why she's on our platform tonight, you guys. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of her background. She is very worthy of being here. There is absolutely no way that I would have her on my platform if she was not. And we are going to tackle some awesome things today. And Heather, I just want to uplift you. And if you have anything that you feel like sharing on your background, that's fine. Going forward, in my world, you are 100% justified already to be here. So
You're very sweet. You're very sweet. But as far as I know we're here to talk about the leadership environment, and I guess I want to start with on the personal side of things. It is so easy all the time to get sucked into what I call like a Groundhog Day mentality, where you lean into the negative, and I've lived it where, oh, it's Monday, oh, it's Tuesday, how many more days until Friday, or I have to go to work, and the dread and kind of just the whole hum of the day in and the day out. And then those little things fester and they build, and pretty soon your attitude is weighted down. You're walking around with this heaviness, and you're more critical, and you're more sarcastic and cynical. You're more critical of your superiors. You're sluggish, and you give off a negative vibe. And pretty soon you yourself are contributing to making the environment around you toxic. So it is very easy to understand how it can happen. I think we've all been there to some degree. And whether you work at McDonald's, or whether you own your own business or run a daycare out of your home, or you're an accountant and you don't really deal with people face to face, but maybe on the phone, or maybe you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a teacher, a machine shop worker, all of us face this. All of us do. We all we all have to face that kind of negativity and that outlook, and to shift it. But really, it starts within you. It starts within us. I always say there's a silver lining in things, and you may have to squint to see it. But I choose to squint, and so choose to squint, choose to see it. There is a silver lining, even in the negative.
I love that. I love that you just said it that way, that choose to squint, because sometimes it's super hard to even see it, isn't it? I mean, like, that's literally sometimes what you have to do to find that.
Yes.
And weed through that negativity, right? That surrounds us, and we can choose.
Yes. And when you make the choice to squint, and you choose gratitude, and you choose to say thank you, and even on those, ho-hum, awful, icky days, when you listen and when you speak positive, compassionate words, or you simply choose not to say the unnecessary, people are going to notice. They're going to notice, and they will want to emulate what they see in you. They'll see you as an emotionally intelligent person. They'll see you as safe and trustworthy. They'll view you as a person of high intellect, and you will inspire. And people don't realize that just by shifting those behaviors and stepping out of that toxic negativity day in and day out, stepping out of that, choosing to squint, seeing the silver lining, that you really are being an example. So therefore, it does start with you. You don't have to be a high-level leader.
Are there sometimes it's so hard to, put your waders on, right? To get up out of that right? To like go forward and remove yourself. Are there some things like daily that can be applied like to ourselves and our own practice that can facilitate those choosing a different way? I mean, because that's difficult, especially if you're one of those people.
Right. And it can bring on a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and ways to kind of help that is what I call, it's my favorite breathing technique. It's called 7-11, 7 breaths in, not 7 breaths, 7 seconds in, 11 seconds out. Also, the obvious exercising and moving. Also, breathe slowly while repeating affirmations, and find a mantra or an affirmation. Find it could be a Bible verse. It could be just a positive slogan that's always uplifted you. Find an affirmation to just keep memorized in your head so you can repeat it while breathing slowly. Those things do have power. Also, to interrupt your thoughts and interrupt them by what I love is to use the word switch. So when I'm perhaps going down a negative road in my mind, I physically saying the word switch or stop out loud oftentimes will stop that cycle. If you simply say switch, and you physically will turn and go to something else. Also, people can be very visual, and sometimes they'll envision maybe a stoplight or a red light to stop that cycle. Also, that's
an awesome one. That switching your thought.
Yes, saying it out loud is a powerful thing. People think that maybe you can just think it, and you can, and that might help for you. But actually saying the word switch, and we even do this in my house, even if we're going down a conversation road that maybe we shouldn't be, and we'll do this. My family will do this. We'll say, switch, and we all kind of laugh and joke, but believe it or not, you end up switching. So also, there's a grounding technique that I've taught, where it's you look for 5 things first that you see. the 5 things that you see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So in the heat of something, you will look in your environment for 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And
that's beautiful. So you just look around you for those things? Is that, and that'll
yes,
bring you
well,
right back.
you have to think. You have to think through that. By the time you're done thinking through that cycle, you have switched yourself.
I love that. Of course, I'm taking notes if you can't tell. That's awesome. That's a great little exercise right there, especially when you're so heated and you're so emotional. You know, I can see myself doing that when I'm super irritated or agitated, right, about a certain thing. Like to just take a breath and go, okay, 5. I see a tree. I see a wall. I see a piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can see that. And just taking that time to find that.
A technique that I like just to help me with anxious thoughts and moments is it's 3 statements that help when I'm consumed with worry or anxiety or fear. And the first statement is, and what I do is I will actually write these statements out. I will take a full sheet of paper and I will write them down each 10 times. And by the time you're done writing these 3 statements out, so write the first statement out 10 times, second statement out 10 times, third statement out 10 times. By the time you're done, you feel a release, like you've almost passed that over. And the first statement is, it will go even better than what I expect. It will go
Say that one more time.
It will go even better than what I expect.
That's beautiful.
The second statement is, I just need to trust that it will be good. I just need to trust that it will be good. And then number 3, whatever happens will be a good thing. Whatever happens will be a good thing. I've done this before when, waiting for maybe a medical result, when waiting for, it's very calming, before a job interview, maybe before, a meeting with a peer that you're nervous about. It could be anything. But it really does help to kind of shift that energy.
And these again are things that we personally can do to change our environment because we're each a leader. It doesn't, just like Heather was saying earlier when we started, it doesn't matter what your job is. You have a responsibility to show up as a leader in that job that you hold. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're the team leader. It doesn't matter if you're the owner of the company. If you guys are paying attention to this, holy cow, right? Like, if you're the person checking me out at the dollar store, you're a leader. Absolutely. You're a leader. And it's your job to show up that way. And these, I'm taking notes. You guys have noticed that. These things that Heather's bringing forward are huge in order for us as individuals in our own space to present ourselves as leaders.
Absolutely, because it's not easy to choose the other, to choose to squint. It's not easy. Yeah. We're around so much that makes it very easy to get sucked into what's around us, the negative. Right. And so therefore to choose to squint, we are going to have, we're going to have anxious days. We're going to have days when we feel down, when, we have to put things into place to keep us strong, to keep us uplifted.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. And there's some other, I know that there's more on your agenda today. Do you feel like keep going?
Sure. We're going to talk about setting boundaries. with toxic people.
Yeah.
And that is the big B word. A lot of people are very, the word boundary, we use it so much. We hear it all the time in the self-help world. But it can be an uncomfortable term because it feels like maybe like a wall or a closed door. But really a boundary is where you end and where others begin. And boundaries, we don't arrive on this earth hardwired to know what healthy boundaries really are. We have to actually learn those healthy boundaries by experience, by living it through trial and error. So don't get down on yourself, and don't be hard on yourself if you feel like you have poor boundaries with toxic people. We've all been there, and we all still do to a certain extent. But it's step one is recognizing that you need to set up those boundaries, and then we learn as we go, and we learn through our mistakes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And to not repeat those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And toxic people, a lot of times we think in very left or right terms where sometimes it's not an option to cut those people out of your life. Sometimes that's not an option. Maybe live with a toxic person. Maybe you have to be around a toxic person at every holiday. Maybe a toxic person is your boss. You have to know we all have to. Again, it goes back to Arby's accountant, daycare CEO. We all have to know how to have healthy boundaries with toxic people, because you will encounter a toxic person and you won't be able to just chop it all out. And maybe the person will never change, and you can't control the self-growth of another person. But you can change the way that you react, and you can change your interactions with that person. And I do have some kind of techniques as far as to help people set boundaries if they don't maybe know where to start. In like a work setting, simply tuning it out, going into another room, stay busy, start a new conversation. You can change your routine. If you're typically around toxic people, maybe at the lunch table or around the water cooler, avoid that. Pack your lunch. Bring your own coffee. Bring your own water. Shift gears so that you can escape that. Another suggestion would be obviously to change the subject into even normally by the time a toxic person is by the time it's really weighing on us, we have scenarios that play out in our heads, and we're waiting for her, and if you hear me, I think she's coming back.
There I am.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to get right back to what I was saying.
Thank you.
So even having some scenarios prepared, you can think through, maybe how to shift gears, how to change the subject. The next thing that may seem odd for me to suggest, but have empathy. If you look at people as if they're doing the best that they can at every given moment, and to try to maybe cut them some slack and realize that that toxic person, maybe whatever they're living, that is their truth for now. And what helps me with dealing with some really, we all have those people that enter our minds as just really toxic, really negative, really, they just really metastasize that negativity and spread it. But I always try to stop myself and say, what if people are doing the best that they can? And the response always when I say that to people is, well, no, they're not. They can do better, but I'll never know if they're doing the best that they can or not. But when I assume that they are, it makes my life better. And so, that kind of stops me in my tracks, because it puts the person I view them differently. And I always say they're doing the best that they can. You know, internally, we don't know we don't know. We never will know if they're doing the best that they can. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if we assume the best and we assume that they are, our things are better for us. You know, our life is better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is. Obviously, stay busy, create escapes. I'm thinking mainly about if you have to be, if you have to spend holidays, if you have to spend long extended weekends with very toxic people, create ways to get out, to escape, walk, stay busy, be the cleaner, just to stay busy, to try to keep your sanity and to try to keep your energy flowing. Also, the goal, and I love that, the goal with toxic people and setting boundaries for me is to try to neutralize toxic and difficult people without creating enemies. That is always the goal for me, to neutralize them without creating enemies. I think so many people think that we need to just stand up to toxic people and, put them in their place. And again, you can't control their behavior. And most of the time that is a big waste of your energy. Try to change that person, or to try to get them to admit that what they're doing is wrong, or that their behavior is toxic. But neutralizing them, going high, being the better person, neutralizing difficult people without creating enemies is very much the goal when you're dealing with toxic people.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And that's, the first time you do that, you're going to probably catch yourself really by surprise. I'm sure that first time is just going to be like, whoa, what did I just do? And then, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that the more you do the more that you do it, the more, one, it empowers yourself to create a better space to exist in, because it's uncomfortable to be around that. It's uncomfortable for everybody to be around that toxicity. But if you can level yourself up, if you can be that person to neutralize, I love that word, to neutralize and create that space where there's not a I win and you lose, but everybody wins. Absolutely. From it. That's huge. That's huge. So, yeah, that's huge.
And the last thing that I do want to talk about is forgiving and letting go. Because when we're dealing with toxic people, a lot of those kind of feelings come into play. Letting things go and forgiveness. And I've really struggled in this area. Not just in my person, not necessarily with forgiving people or forgiving situations, but I've struggled at, I think throughout my life with the concept of forgiveness, because I always looked at forgiveness as kind of it's a final destination, it's a finish line. And it was a place that I felt I was expected to get to very quickly. And I think that obviously comes from all of our religious affiliations. But what I've come to realize is we are human. And yes, I believe that we're expected to forgive, but maybe it's more complicated than simply wiping a slate clean for us. Meaning we're messy, we're filled with feelings, we're filled with emotions, hurts and brokenness. So it's okay if forgiveness ends up being muckier than expected. It's okay. And we talk about forgiveness like it's an event. But what I have come to realize is that it is not. Instead of saying, I forgive you, instead, what I like to say is, I'm forgiving you. ING. ING. Because forgiveness is not an event.
That totally shifts it.
Yes. So, I mean,
Yeah.
say, I forgive you, it's boom, it's done. And yeah, we'd love for it to be, but again, it can be mucky. But I'm forgiving you, because again, it's not an event any more than brushing your teeth is an event. It's something that you must do over and over and over again, and eventually it becomes a habit. And it's easier with time. And so it's a process. You know, we've heard that forgiveness is a process, but it's an ing. It's not just an e. It's an ing, forgiving. And it also doesn't mean whenever you hear about forgiveness, you hear that lovely, forgive and forget, but it doesn't mean that you forget what happened. Forgiveness is an interior process to free ourselves from anger, bitterness, guilt, and blame. And we don't have to forget. We don't have to forget. But for our own sake, we need to let that go for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I've learned recently, there's a difference between I have to and I get to. Mm-hmm. And when you just were saying the forgiving instead of the forgive, it flipped back to that. Mm-hmm. I get to forgive you instead of I have to forgive you. Yeah, it's like a privilege that I get to forgive you.
Yes. Yeah.
What's Susan say here?
So much. I know Susan say.
I know. Forgiveness doesn't mean forget, but the way for my soul to move forward. Oh, that's beautiful, Susan. I love that. That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Susan makes me. Susan moved, and I don't get to see her much anymore. So I'm glad she's on here. It's nice. It kind of feels like.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I think the last time we tried to do this and we had technical problems, I talked about that you can't forgive what you don't understand. And so I talked about if maybe you're a gallon person with pint people in your life. I've talked about this in my workshops before, where if you are, and maybe you can love and give and share, and you have this gallon size heart, but if you're around people that have pints, that are holding pints, you're always going to be battling that, and you're always going to say, I need more, and the pint people are going to be saying, but I'm giving you all that I have, and they are. That's not a lie. So you really have to evaluate that when you're looking at repeat offenders, people that you feel like you always have to forgive over and over and over again. Just remember, you can't forgive what you don't understand, and you have to adjust your expectations. And some people.
That's another good one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's another really good one. If you guys are watching this replay, man, I hope you are taking notes. My paper is full.
Yes.
That expectations is a huge one.
Yes.
I think that gets us in trouble more than we want to admit.
Oh, absolutely. You have to adjust your expectations to that person's capacity. When you expect someone to love on a gallon level and they're a pint person, you are constantly going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated for the rest of your life if you're wanting that from that person.
Yeah.
If you're a gallon person and your life is filled with pint people, you're never going to understand each other. Again, you're always going to be wanting more, and they'll say, I'm giving you all that I got. And they really are. They've emptied themselves out, but you have the capacity for more. So you have to consider that when we're dealing with people and when we're dealing with people that we feel have done us wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So people, we're going to wrap this up here, but Heather Englehart is a very, very sought after life coach. She specializes in facilitating and teaching and training large groups of people how how to master difficult situations in all different kinds of forms. So companies bring her in to teach their teams how to work better together. Private people hire her to work with her. She does group workshops. And if Heather, I know you have some links if people want to reach out to you. Will you drop them in the comments when we're done?
I sure will.
For people to pardon me, to find you. And I don't know if you're taking clients or not, but if you guys, again, if you're watching this replay, please, by all means, Heather will put her contact information in here. You're more than welcome to reach out to her and to see what she's got going on. Her website will be linked in here as well too. And again, I have an
upcoming workshop in Midland coming up. I'm going to start having monthly workshops every third Wednesday evening at Captured Community. That will be announced. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah. So if you guys are in Heather's area and that interests you, that information will be available for you for sure. If you want a live event with her, that's very much something that you should entertain and put in your docket because time with her is very well spent for sure. But again, if this has been valuable and you're watching the replay and you got comments or questions, drop them in the comments. We will make sure we loop back around and make sure that those are attended to after this. And again, if you guys don't know who I am, my name's Erin Strayer. I'm a business strategist and what else do I do? I'm a growth consultant for female entrepreneurs, and I help you level up, optimizing you and result in better outcomes for you and your business and who you are as a person. And this platform is all about that, bringing hot topics front and center so we can address the situations that every single one of us, females and males, deal with every day on a daily basis. And we just bring those to light here. So by all means, this goes on. This is a special time tonight because we were doing a recap and a reroute and a workaround. So we really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Those of you that were on live with us, thank you for being here. This platform usually goes at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Times on Tuesdays and Thursdays, scheduling permitted. So anyways, we'll see you right back here. Heather, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you right back here soon.